Hello again, 8th graders. Today we are going to be working on Chapter 1-5A, Multiplying Integers. This first group of integers looks very similar to the multiplication that you've been using ever since about 3rd grade. 8 times 3 is 24. 2 times 8 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. And 6 times 3 is 18. In this particular instance, we are working with a positive integer times a positive integer. So a positive times a positive is going to equal a positive integer. If we move on to the second group of integers, you'll notice that all of our integers here are negative. A negative 4 times a negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 5 times negative 9 is 45. Negative 5 times negative 3 is 15. And negative 2 times negative 8 is 16. Now here, remember, we're taking a negative times a negative, and it equals a positive integer. What we really have here is a key rule. Remember that in our first group of integers, we had positive times positive. In this group of integers, we have negative times negative. What we're really doing is multiplying factors that have the same sign. So the rule is that the product of two integers with the same sign is positive. Now, remember that if you need to pause in order to catch up with the writing, you can do that. What happens if we have integers that do not have the same signs? What if we take a negative integer times a positive integer, or a positive integer times a negative integer? In example I, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. In J, 7 times negative 4 is going to be negative 28. For K, the product is going to be negative 15, and for L, our product is going to be negative 18. Now, if you notice, we are taking a negative, and I'm going to use abbreviations here. Negative times positive equals a negative, or positive times negative equals negative. We are really dealing with a key rule that says the product of two integers with different signs is negative. Now, another way to think of different signs, we can also call this unlike signs. Sometimes we say different signs, sometimes we will say unlike signs. With multiplying, we will be working with story problems. The value of a calling card decreases 20 cents for each minute it is used. This idea of decreasing by 20 cents means that we have a negative concept. The card was used to make a 5-minute call. 5 minutes is actually a positive period of time. So how much did the value of the card change? We are going to take the negative well, let's not use a decimal. Let's use negative 20 times the 5 minutes, and we are going to get a negative 100 cents, which is also $1. Now, if you think about it, we could also do a decimal of 20 cents times 5, and we will get a negative $1. So you can do it with either the whole number integer, or you can actually use it with the decimals, which we're going to come to in another chapter. Example B is a little bit more complicated. It's actually 2 steps. We know that the population of a city decreased from 650,000 to 617,000 in 10 years. So we have to find out how much of a decrease that is. To do that, we are going to subtract. Talking about population, so that means people, and since it is a decrease, that means it's negative. Now, we haven't done a whole lot with division yet. We'll be doing that in the next lesson, but hopefully you kind of remember this from last year. We are going to take that negative 33,000, we're going to divide by 10. We actually are going to get a negative number. To remember the shortcut for dividing by 10, that decimal point is going to move from the right of this number one place to our left. So we're going to get negative 3,300 people per year. And that's the end of lesson 5, 1-5A.